Welcome and thank you for listening to the Sales Maven Show. I'm your host, Nikki Rausch. I am your own personal sales maven. I'm here to offer you tips and strategies and techniques to truly master your sales conversation. Now, today we're going to be talking about this little thing that comes up in your business as a business owner when maybe you're going to step away from your business and or maybe your schedule is totally booked, but you don't want to miss out on starting a new client. And so, how do you handle those situations? So, the topic really is why it's important that you stop explaining your schedule and how to handle it instead. So, this came about from a conversation with a client that I was having, a coaching client, one of my private coaching clients. She specifically asked me if I had a podcast episode about this. And she's not the first person who's asked me the particular question I'm going to share with you in just a second. But I thought, oh, well, I'll just pop in here and record a quick podcast episode so that when this comes up for you, you're ready. Because this is really where your confidence grows in sales, is just being ready when these things come your way. And so the question was, she had a new person, a new client ready to onboard, ready to get started, but because of her schedule, she has a 2-week vacation planned. Great, right? Good for her. I hope you're taking time off in your business as well, right? Like if that makes sense for you. And I also thought this was a timely episode because for some people right now, it's coming up on like spring break, and depending on when you're listening to this podcast episode, there might be a summer break coming, or just maybe you're taking some time away from your business. And when we do this, oftentimes we feel compelled to have to like give everybody all the details. But realistically, that is not the best way to handle it. And when you're onboarding a new client, telling them like, "Oh, I'm going on vacation for a couple weeks," like, does that send the message that you want to send? So that was the concern that my client had. She didn't want to sound unprofessional. She didn't want to feel weird, or create this like weird kind of starting. So how do you say it? And so I'm going to give you this part just right up front. And this is what I said to her is you just say like, "I'm really excited to get started with you and we could start as soon as," and then you just give a date. You don't need to say why it's that date. You just give the date of when you can start. You may have heard me talk about this before, like one of my big pet peeves with a lot of professionals and specifically like doctor's offices, dentist office, if you're going to get your nails done or you're going to get your, whatever you're calling to like go and have a service done and you call and they say, "Great, when would you like to come in?" And then you tell them when you want to come in and they're like, "Oh, sorry, that time is already booked." And then you start to play this like back and forth game. Like that is super annoying. Maybe it's just me as a pet peeve. Now that I've pointed it out to you, you'll notice the next time you call your doctor's office, they'll ask you when you want to come in, and then you'll tell them, and then they'll tell you why the doctor is not available that time. It's just bad communication skills, frankly, and we can do better, right? You can do better. So, and this comes up still with this idea of like when your schedule is booked. Now, why your schedule is booked is really irrelevant to the conversation. If your schedule is booked because you're booked full with clients, or if it's because you're taking time away, like totally irrelevant and not something to bring into the conversation. And the reason that you don't want to do this is because the more you feel like you have to explain yourself to your prospective client, the more it sounds like you need their permission, which is just not the case, right? In sales, I always talk about how important it is that there is a balance of power in the dynamic, in the relationships, in the conversations that you're having, the sales conversations that you're having. So you don't want to take all the power and be like, "Hey, my way or the highway," because frankly, they'll pick the highway. Like they'll go find someone else to work with that has more flexibility. But you also don't want to give all the power to the prospect or to the client because unfortunately they'll abuse it. And not because they're bad people and not because you're a pushover, but it's just human nature. So, in order to keep things on an even keel, you want to balance out the power dynamic. So, the more you over explain things, it lowers the other person's confidence in you, right? So, we don't want to do that. We don't want to like give away our confidence. The other thing is that it invites negotiation. Now, maybe not so much with like, I'm taking some time away, but maybe they might convince you why you should meet with them while you are on vacation. Like, we don't need to have those kind of conversations. So, you sharing about going away or taking time away from the business, it's just not going to help. So, again, this is about creating balance in the power dynamic just by giving a really simple response. Okay. And I've already given you the example of it. So, the idea here from a framework standpoint is just to think about, so you acknowledge that their question, then you're going to step into the lead and you're going to offer the next step. That's the framework: acknowledge, lead, offer next step. So I mentioned this, I'm just going to say it again. You're onboarding somebody, or for whatever reason, you're not available like right away. And I don't even care if it's a month out or 2 months out. You just say, like, great, I am super excited to get started with you. And we can start as soon as the week of whatever. And then you say, I have time available Monday or Tuesday that week. Are you available those times? And then you wait and you see what they say, right? So there's no fluff, there's no story here. Now, here was one of the questions that came up, and this might be a question that comes up for you is, well, Nikki, what if they push back? What if they're like, oh my gosh, I didn't realize I was going to have to wait so long. Is there any chance that you can get me in sooner? Like, could you make yourself available next week? Now, you get to decide how you're going to handle this. I'm going to give you advice based on the assumption that the answer is no. You cannot get them in next week because you already have committed this time to yourself, to your family, to your friends, whatever it is that you're doing, or maybe to your other clients, because again, maybe you really are fully booked in your business. And congratulations if that's the case. So you just say, when they push back, you say, I totally understand. Next week is actually fully booked. I do have availability on, the week of blah, blah, blah. You just say that. And then you just ask, would you prefer Monday or Tuesday? Or you could say morning or afternoon, right? Like, you say, and you just tell them when they can get that appointment. That is the most important piece here, because they will feel satisfied knowing that they're now on the schedule. And even if there's a little bit of a wait, like that, that's okay, right? So your idea here is to stay grounded, like repeat your boundary, move forward. And remember, like, there's nothing wrong with sending out the message that you are booked, like you have demand. Now, again, just because you're going on vacation, that doesn't need to be something that's advertised, right? Let them assume that you're booked because you have clients. Like, don't say something that's out of integrity, but if they make that assumption, that's fine. Like, let that be. And the other thing too is, by really standing in this place of like, when you are available, when we can get started, let's get the date on the calendar now. That allows for clarity, and clarity builds trust in sales. So, and boundaries also create safety in the relationship. When you hold your boundaries, you are essentially giving them permission to also hold their boundaries. Okay. So remember that really clients don't need your reasons. And I really want to put like quotes around that. Like, they don't need your reasons. They just need you to lead. You're the guide, right? They've hired you to do something. So you're the guide. Let them take their kind of cues from you. You take the lead. So if you've ever found yourself over explaining your schedule, this is an episode for you to try something new and see what happens. I'm pretty, I feel pretty confident. I'm going to say I feel confident and leave off the qualifier there. I feel confident that 9 out of 10 of these people are going to be like, okay, and just go along. Right. And if somebody is really skating past your boundaries or really pushing, well, that might be a red flag for you to pay attention to. So I am wishing you continued success. Thank you so much, as always, for listening.